Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just checking my recording really quick, whether it's going. Right, this is just a quick starter on the upcoming presidential election in what is it, a year and a half? Almost 2 years. Jesus Christ. But it's important to start early because in this particular way, we can discuss each individual candidate, their policies, and as a result, provide the viewer, in this particular case you or the voter, with accurate information. This is something that is, under all circumstances, not really done properly by the media, and therefore I have to fill in the gaps, which are plentiful. So here now Mason Knight, a little overview for each individual candidate who has declared, for each individual candidate who is thinking about declaring, who has expressed interest, who has potential. So basically we're doing a bit of speculation here as well. And the last one would be who have officially declined. But then again, declining doesn't mean a thing. That means that they, at some point, may as well jump in, right? It's the same particular case with, let's say, George Pataki over in 2016, former governor of New York, who did the thing that Lee Zeldin barely couldn't. So we have parties split along, of parties altogether. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply leave out the blanks. I'm going to go for the Republicans first. So we have declared candidates: Nikki Haley of South Carolina, Perry Johnson. I've ordered them last names first, so it's a bit difficult to read sometimes. So Perry Johnson for Michigan, Steve Laffey of Colorado. Here's the fun part, because he used to be mayor of Cranston in Rhode Island, but then he moved to Colorado. So we have to keep that in mind, because home state is a little different than their political experience. So we have Vivek Ramaswamy of Ohio. Never heard of the guy, but okay, whatever. Roland Roberts, I think it's the second, from West Virginia. Corey Stapleton, so Secretary of State for Montana. And then we have Donald Trump from Florida, who changed home states, of course. So these are the declared candidates. We also have exploring. We have John Bolton, we have Ron DeSantis, we have Larry Elder, we have Asa Hutchinson, and Mike Pompeo. So that's Maryland, Florida, California, Arkansas, and Kansas, respectively. We have expressed interest. That would be Liz Cheney of Wyoming, Chris Christie of New Jersey, Larry Hogan of Maryland, Kristi Noem of South Dakota, Mike Pence of Indiana, Mike Rogers of Michigan, Francis Suarez of Florida, and Chris Sununu of New Hampshire. Then we have Greg Abbott, Ted Cruz, Rafael Cruz, you should say, because he anglicized his name in the case of criticism, I suppose. Both of Texas, Doug Ducey, Arizona, Will Hurd of Texas, Brian Kemp, Georgia, Rand Paul of Kentucky, Marco Rubio, Florida, Ben Sass, Nebraska, Tim Scott, South Carolina, Marjorie Taylor, Georgia, Glenn Youngkin of Virginia. Declined, well, I can briefly name them, but they're not going to run anyway, so care. Marsha Blackburn, Tucker Carlson, Tom Cotton, Dan Crenshaw, Johnny Ernst, Joshua Hawley, Adam Kinzinger. Let's see, we got Dan Patrick, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, Rick Scott, Ivana Trump, and then Scott Walker. So we have a few things here to note. That is, of the candidates that we have here, I want to do a little bit of a calculation, because always I'm a bit of a mathematical jackass in this particular case. So I'm just going to copy these names. These particular ones, yes. And we're going to do a bit of a mathematical equation. So, in a particular case, so can run, or is running, I should say, their primary eligibility, their general eligibility, which basically means how electable are they in the primary, how electable are they in the general, and points will be allocated accordingly. So then they have their public image and their capability to approve in it, their policy, which is also important, and their record. I'm just going to grade these out of 10 points. And the one who has the highest, I would say, support that guy. So I'm also going to do conditional formatting in this particular case, because that's important. Right? But I think that's pretty much important. So, we have... So I'm just going to align points according to their likelihood. So we have everything from Marshall Blackburn down low, not running, or has declined. So we're just going to fill it in as 0. I'm just going to grade these, so 2 points for each point you go up. And you get 10 points for announcing you're running. Right, so we have that. And I think I'm just going to do this really quick. Just drop them off here, so it's visible for you. Primary eligibility. So how much is the likelihood that if you were to run, you would be capable of winning a primary? That's very important. Why is it? Because if you can't win a primary, you, under no particular circumstance, would be capable of being a presidential candidate. So I'm just going to go from bottom to top. Scott Walker, former governor of Wisconsin, lost re-election to Tony Evers, which is kind of nail in the coffin material for record and particularly image. So Walker, I think in this particular case, he isn't the worst. But then again, in Wisconsin, it's going to be a bit of a problem because he had a recall election that he won. So basically, it's in the middle of things. So I'm just going to give it 3 points. Now we have Ivana Trump. Is she capable of winning a primary? No. So Richard Scott, or Rick Scott, depending on how you want to call it, Florida. So thing is, I think he's one of the better senators, but that is my opinion as a conservative non-Republican, because I left the Republican Party. That's a little bit of a thing that I still had to mention in some other video, but I forgot to do that, so whatever. Rick Scott is one of the senators I like the most. He's not the best senator, in my opinion, but there's not really eligibility for when it comes to... So, he is better than Scott Walker. I'm going to give him 6 points. Pretty much opinion on this particular case. Paul Ryan, universally hated in the party. Mitt Romney, is he capable of winning a primary? Depends on who you ask. He already did it once, through not so legitimate means. So I'm going to say, is he capable of winning a primary? Yes, but it requires a lot of split voting, which means in a packed field, Romney can win. So I'm going to say 7 points. Dan Patrick, who is the Lieutenant Governor of Texas? Yes. I think maybe 2 points, maybe 3 points at the most. I don't think he's that good. Adam Kinzinger, universally hated. He's a CNN employee right now. That's not going to happen. Josh Hawley. He is the second best senator, in my opinion. right after James Vance. So, Hawley, I'm going to give him personally, when it comes to the image that I give him, that's 9 points. But when it comes to winning a primary for the presidential election, I think it's 5 points. Joni Ernst, she has basically the missing link factor combination with pretty much everything else surrounding it. It is 7 points. Dan Crenshaw, I think he's about 3 points. Tom Cotton, kind of missing link factor. He's been lowering on the scale of good senators for me. I think he's about 4 points. Tucker Carlson, he's a bit of this populist kind of guy who likes to talk to pretty much everyone and adjusts accordingly. So I think he has a good chance of winning a primary. Not talking about the 2024 primary particularly. If he likes to run in the later stage like 2032, he basically can get it on lockdown. Marsha Blackburn, I think 4 points. So we have Glenn Youngkin. Is he capable of winning a primary? He's been in the same boat as Mitt Romney, so I'm going to give him 5 points for this. Marjorie Greene, no. Tim Scott, depends. I'm going to give that 4 points. Ben Sass, 2 points. Rubio, I think about 5 to keep it there. Rand Paul, this is another one of the senators that I really like. But is he capable of winning? In the case of Rand Paul, I think he would benefit from having a very narrow field. Which is going to be very unlikely, because the amount of presidential candidates has been significantly skyrocketing over the past decade. So, with a packed field, I don't think he can make it. Brian Kemp, I think about 6 points. Will Hurd, literally who? Doug Ducey, Arizona, I think he has significant trouble. That's not going to happen for him. Ted Cruz, no, he's not going to win it in general. Abbott, no. Sununu, used to be good, now he's just shit. It's not going to happen. Suarez, about the same story, it's not going to happen. Mike Rogers, I don't even know who that guy is. Mike Pence, just because he was the vice president, that is actually in his favor, this particular guy, because it gets name recognition. So it's basically on the same level as Tucker Carlson in this particular case. Kristi Noem, name recognition, not really. I mean, congressman for South Dakota for 4 terms, then terms governor, gets re-elected governor. Not really. Nah, I'd say about 5 points. Larry Hogan, nah, can't see it. Chris Christie can't see it. Cheney can't. Mike Pompeo, no. Hutchinson, no. Elder, no. DeSantis, depends on which cycle he runs in. Can he win this primary? I would say he has a 10% chance. Is it the next one, 2028? Yeah, sure. He can be he's one of the front runners in that particular case. But in this particular type, right now, I would say 4 points. Bolton, no chance, no shot. Donald Trump, here's the thing. He's the front runner right now. He's just going to win. That's just going to happen. Corey Stapleton, he has about, no chance. Roberts, no. Laffey, no. Johnson, no. Haley, I think about 4 points. Let's be generous here. Final one, Ramaswamy. This is basically the dark horse candidate of this cycle. Nobody knows him. He is barely eligible to run for the presidency at age 37. He is being fluffed up by all the media at the moment, so a lot of Republicans are going to be quite wary of this guy. Does he have a chance? Yes. Is he going to win? Not really. He gives off this vibe of controlled opposition. So I'm going to give him 6 points. So when it comes to are you capable of winning the general? Well, let's say if you have below 5 points, we're just going to round it up and say that's a no. Kristi Noem, let's do that. just to make it easy for me, right? Because at some point you have to make things a little easy for yourself. So, let's go bomb to top again. Rick Scott. Is he capable of winning a general election? Depends on who the opposite candidate is. Why? Well, it's actually very simple. He's under fire for, well, attempting to reform social welfare. Social entitlements, I should say. This isn't necessarily popular, and this can easily be construed as the hyperbolic view that the Democrats have in every single election cycle since 1933 about so-called abolishing Social Security. This is a very powerful message, even though it's quite a lie, and as a result, it tanks your chances in the general. So I'm going to give him 3 points. He is somewhat capable to do it, but not really. And we get Mitt Romney, who literally ran on cutting Social Security and got absolutely stomped. So again, is he capable of winning in general? Sure. If he runs against someone like, if he runs against the incarceration of the reincarnation of Joseph Stalin, Romney is capable of winning. But in any other circumstance, no. Hawley, is he winning? It's basically the same thing. So he has widely circulated pictures regarding January 6th where he runs around. This is just doing him in, so I'm thinking like, yeah, he is capable, depends on who you're running against. Joni Ernst, if she goes, I think she's kind of capable, so let's go 7 points. Tucker Carlson, if he wins the primary, if he runs, he can win the primary. Can he win the general? Yeah, I can see that happening. Youngkin, same story, yeah, I can kind of see that happen. Marco Rubio, I think is less likely. We got Brian Kemp, I think it's not so likely. Mike Pence, no, that's not going to happen. Kristi Noem, as a presidential candidate, no, I don't think that's going to happen. Then we go Ramaswamy, dark horse candidate, pushed by the media, that kind of stuff. So if he managed to hold on, yeah, sure, he has a decent chance of winning. And in the case of Donald Trump, he already won the primary once, he already won presidency once, legitimately and illegitimately in the other one. Or at least non-recognized in the other one, I should say. Yeah, he's going to win for the third time in a row. Sure, I can see that happening. Is it likely? That depends on who the candidate is. He's already beating Harris by like 10 points, so please nominate Harris. That would be funny. Biden, he's probably going to win. So there are a few people that I'm concerned about whether he can win, but none of them that have declared that they're running, I don't see it happening. So I'm going to give Trump 10 points. Definitely capable of winning the primary. Or the general as well. So when it comes to public perception, this is about the way that the media interacts with the candidate and the way that the... So if you're completely unrecognizable, you get 2 points. So Barry Johnson 2, Laffey 2, Roland, Stapleton. Bolton's kind of known. I think, yeah, it's a lot of the same. Mike Rogers, because you're kind of unknown on a national level, at least when it comes to policy positions. So Rick Scott, he has 0 public positive messaging regarding it. Paul Ryan doesn't. Mitt Romney doesn't. Dan Patrick, yeah, kind of. Kinzinger, he's a little more positively portrayed by the media because of the entire January 6th thing, so it's a little higher. Hawley, negative all the way around. Ernst, Crenshaw, Cotton, Tucker Carlson. He is media, he is well known, but very negatively reported upon. Blackburn, kind of an unknown guy. Youngkin is a little more positively messaged. Scott isn't, Sass isn't. Rand Paul's more of an unknown kind of. Hurd, unknown. Ducey, unknown. Cruz, negative. Abbott, kind of neutral. Mike Pence, 0 points. Christie is unknown. Nome is unknown. Cheney, pretty sure she's universally hated, even though she has been the delight of the media. DeSantis, public imaging. Bolton, he's been more positively portrayed. Trump gets 0 points on this. Haley gets positively portrayed just because she runs against Trump, so I'm going to give her 5 points for that. And when it comes to Ramaswamy, he's basically an unknown, so he's basically being pushed out by the media. Policy. Haley, basically the neocon warmongering nonsense, so I'm going to give that about 3 points. Barry Johnson, does he even have a platform? Here's the problem with Ramaswamy. He is basically the equivalent of I speak everything that the base needs to know, but it's in such a way that it's suspicious, I should say. Almost like he is controlled opposition. Roland Roberts, don't know about him. Stapleton, so I would like to be able to interview every one of these lists. When it comes to Donald Trump and his policy, I think it's a solid 9 out of 10. There are some things that can be improved, but at the moment I have little to complain about. John Bolton, he's just going to declare war on a few nations, fuck off. DeSantis, here's the thing, he basically does the same thing as Trump, but less. He's more easily manipulated. Jesus, that's a speech impediment coming back. So it's basically controlled opposition. So I'm gonna say 5 points for this. Larry Elder, he had good policies as a gubernatorial campaign, but I didn't think that it's gonna bring anything out. Hutchinson, basically the rhino thing. Pompeo, same story. I think I should be a little more positive, right? So let's do one. Let's do this. Cheney. Well, if she's anything like her father, she's gonna shoot someone in the face again. So yeah, that's pretty funny. Christie, same rhino thing. Hogan, same thing. Noam. What even is her policy? Mike Pence, a little more positive, right? Than the rest. Mike Rogers, who knows him? Abbott, 2 points, I think. Cruz is a little better on the issue. I got Will Hurd, I don't even know what he's doing. Rand Paul, this is where the point is, and when it comes to the policies of Rand Paul, I think it's a solid 10. Yes, I'm biased. How'd you think? So, Marco Rubio, I think it's about a 2-pointer. Sass, Green, Scott, Green, a little more positive. I kind of like the things she's talking about, more of a philosophical concept, such as national divorce. She is basically talking about the things as a philosophist would. Not very eloquently put in the behavior or in the points made, but when it comes to the particular issues, yeah, she's basically tossing up an issue and saying like, hey, let's talk about this, let's think about this one. And let's see what is the good things, what are the bad things, and let's see how we are going to discuss. Let's see where the cookie crumbles. I think I like that kind of way of thinking, and we shouldn't really toss that out. It's a good thing to have. Youngkin, policy-wise, he's focusing basically on the bread and butter issues, but what I fear is with, for example, foreign policy, we don't know anything about it. So he could be this missing link kind of guy that does the I like the worker and basically the working class kind of guy, but then at the same time he could be the ones sending your kids to die in a war. So it's basically a black box when it comes to the issues that we don't know about, and that's dangerous. I am gonna give him 6 points, however, because we just don't know much. Marsha Blackburn, She's good on the entirety of the social issues, so I'm gonna give her 4 points for that. Tucker Carlson, again, he's the kind of guy, man of the people kind of guy, so I am gonna be a little more positive to him. Tom Cotton used to be good. He's a bit degrading in his policy. I'm gonna give him about 6 points. Dan Crenshaw, just piss off. Ernst is about a mixed bag. Hawley, it's about on the issues he's really good, but on everything else he's just meh. Kinzinger, just piss off, dude. Tim Patrick, basically not known factor. Rhino, Mitt Romney, no. Ryan can just. Rick Scott, I like his economic policy. I'm gonna give him 8 points for that. Ivana Trump, we don't know anything about that. Scott Walker, again. So we're all seeing a trend appear. Public record, Scott Walker as governor, it was kinda okay-ish. So anyone who did not hold office, I'm just gonna quickly put in 0 points for this. Because we don't have a record. Larry Elder never held office, so here we go. Scott Walker as governor is kind of okay. Rick Scott, record as governor, he was pretty good, I would say. Better than Charlie Crist, better than Jeb Bush. I think Rick Scott overall pretty good governor, so I'm gonna give him about 8 points for that. Senator, he is really good, so I'm gonna give him 8 for his record. Paul Ryan as record, yeah, about that. At least you tried. Mitt Romney as governor of Massachusetts, he was kinda okay, I guess. As senator of Utah, he's absolutely awful. So let's average it out. So let's say a 6 out of 10. We put it with the 1, so that's 7.3.5. So let's say 4. Be generous, right? Dan Patrick as lieutenant governor. Yeah, he's doing an okay job, I guess. Kinzinger, just piss off. Hawley, congressional records, good. Joni Ernst, little less. She's more anti-gun. Then Crenshaw can fuck off. Tom Cotton, he's getting worse over time. And inversely, Marsha Blackburn is improving over time. Glenn Youngkin as governor, he's doing a terrific job. Not flawless, but he's doing a great job. When it comes to legislative, Green is doing a good job. When it comes to the legislative, Tim Scott, about average. Ben Sass, and not so much. Rubio, about a 6. Rand Paul, yeah. Brian Kemp, no. Will Hurt, yes, yeah, average, I guess. Ducey, fucking hate this guy. Cruz, yeah, he's about a failing grade, I think. Greg Abbott is doing a little better than Cruz, but not by much. Sununu, he used to be good. Now not so much. Suarez as mayor of Miami. I mean, yeah, the entire place isn't burning down, so that's not really anything to squeeze about, so let's just put him in average grade. Mike Rogers used to be of Michigan, representative for quite some long time. Think about his tenure here. As his tenure, let's go, that is 2001 to 2015, so basically the Patriot Act era. Yeah. No. It's not gonna do. Mike Pence, when it comes to record, he used to be a representative for more than 10 years, governor for 1 term, and then vice president. So, tenure as representative. 2001, the era. Governor, pretty shit, I believe. And then we have vice president, so I'm just gonna give him a failing grade, but not by much. Representative Christine Noem, so 2011 to 2019, basically the Tea Party era. Pretty good. Larry Hogan, failing grade. Chris Christie, no. I mean, Christie is the kind of guy that locked down the beaches so that he could have a private day at the beach. That's just fucking stupid. Come on, guy. Cheney, no. So Mike Pompeo, Representative, Secretary of State, used to be Director of the CIA as well. No, I don't think so much. Asa Hutchinson, just no, just piss off, mate. Ron DeSantis, this is the controversial part of my video. So you have federal representative for 3 terms. Basically 2014, 2015, that contract, so the last late years of Barack Obama, voted for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, voted for red flag laws, that kind of stuff. So I would say no, thank you. On that regard, improved a little bit, tried to run for Senate, then dropped out because Rubio ran for re-election in 2016, then ran for governor, only barely squeaked by to a Trump endorsement, and now he's won re-election by 20 points. So he is definitely on an upwards climb, but when it comes to his record, I'd say he's failing. John Bolton, record, no. Then we have Donald Trump, his record. Yeah, so only the presidency we can judge at. So economy, superb. Foreign policy, superb. Social policy, little less. So we find out that I'm going to put him in as a grade. I think if I judge the entirety of his presidency, I would definitely give him a passing grade. But it's not a perfect one. I would say he's about a B, so a 7 out of 10. Corey Stapleton, let's see, he was state representative turned Secretary of State. Secretary of State, he's doing a good job. He also did a good job at as state representative. Policy-wise, not so much. I'm gonna give him a passing grade. And finally, we have Nikki Haley as record. So we have her as a representative turned governor, and then ambassador to the UN. So, as governor, horrible record. As state representative, well, neutral, I guess, so 6 out of 10. Come on. 6 out of 10, so that's about a 4. Let's give her a 5. So we have this. Donald Trump is the clear leader of the pack, followed by Ramaswamy and Youngkin, and then Rand Paul. This takes my personal opinion into account, of course. So you need to take that into account. Let's go from Republican to Libertarian. Let's do the independents as well. So we have 2 declared, Hornberger and Termat, Texas and Florida respectively, with Oliver Chase, the guy that ran for Senate in Georgia. And then we have Justin Marsh, Dave Smith, now we have Howard Stern, Kanye West, Andrew Yang, and Kirsten Sinema as potentials for the Senate, as potential for the presidential. Well, here's the thing, Sinema, I think she's running for re-election, and if she isn't, she's probably going to retire because her grift is done and she can get her retirement. So, these individuals, I'm just going to briefly mention them because there's no way in hell that any of them is going to win. So we can just ignore them now. I at least mentioned them, unlike the media. Democrats, we have 3 individuals have declared, at least to my knowledge, Biden, Segal, and Williamson. So Delaware, Maryland, California, respectively. Seagal is basically a perennial candidate, so we can kind of ignore that. Marianne Williamson, she ran in the previous presidential election, dropped out. She's absolutely crazy, so I don't think that's going to work much at this particular time. And then we have several other individuals. So we have Eric Adams, mayor of New York. We have Steve Bullock, Cory Bush, Pete Buttigieg, Roy Cooper. So what I think is going to happen, he is going to face somewhat of a challenge, depending on how bad his dementia is going. So who's going to run? Roy Cooper, governor of North Carolina. He is term limited, which means that he is going to be out of a job in 2 years. What does this mean? Well, basically means that the governor's election is going to be in 2024, in line with the presidential election. Trump is going to win North Carolina. It's going to be about 3 to 4 points that he's going to win it with. That means, let's say this: we have Tom Tillis won 2020. We have no Senate election, so there isn't going to be anything on play there. Then we have the House is going to flip Republican. That's going to happen, and with the Supreme Court there, they're probably going to toss out the current map, which is 7-7, and they're going to make it 8, maybe 9 districts Republican. That's going to happen. So in this particular case, it's going to perform in line with the statewide popular vote, which means that the Republican is going to win the governor's election there by about 3 to 4 points. Meaning that Roy Cooper, over here, is going to be out of a job. Because not only is he term limited, so I think he's going to run. Cuomo, it's not going to happen. He's basically disgraced. Fetterman, I think it's funny if he did. But I'm pretty sure that he's going to be declared dead at some point because he's basically nowhere to be found. Harris, if Biden drops out, she's going to declare. Basically, she's going to be forced to declare. Mark Kelly, not going to happen. Mitchell Andrew, not going to happen. Maher, not going to happen. Manchin, he said he was thinking about it, but that would be a little different of a scenario. Pretty much anyone else here down the list, I'm just not gonna name them. It would be funny if Bernie Sanders is gonna declare again, but probably not. Everyone else, no. It would be funny if Hillary Clinton declared again, but let's see. So if Biden runs, and he is running. So it depends on how bad his dementia gets. If his dementia is absolutely horrendous, and in the public poll it shows like a Trump plus 10, then they're going to throw him under the bus and they're going to decide, okay, we're going to have primary elections. In which case it's open season and pretty much anyone mentioned here is going to throw their head in the ring. That's just how it goes. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a conservative. That means that I will not even do the same calculations regarding this because it would be so completely biased. For an example, I would say capability of winning the primary. Now, that I can do that objectively. I can do the same thing with the general. When it comes to public perception, it's basically the way the media talks about it. So it's going to be 10 points regardless of all these guys because they're only positively in the newsreel. Policy-wise, I'm going to give everyone a 0 out of 10 for these Democrats because, let's be honest, if I approved of their policy, I wouldn't be a conservative, right? Record, same kind of story because it's kind of subjectively. So it's going to be like low bar. It could be independent, or it could be valuable in case you want to analyze the way that a conservative would look at this and say, okay, let's say I would like to get as much independent people on board of the Democratic ticket. It could be valuable. I could do such a video if it's requested. Probably not. Let's be honest. So, at this point, pretty much done with the entire video. There's not much else to do. I'm gonna leave it here. Simply put, we're already over the 40-minute mark at the moment. And at this point, it's just enough. Thank you kindly for watching. Hope you picked up a few good things here. And if you already watched my previous videos, I don't know if you did, you would already know who I support for the presidency, so it doesn't really particularly matter. Thank you kindly for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.